Welcome to the Let Me Bend Your Ear podcast. My name is Frank. I am the host of the show. On this podcast, I discuss and review movies new and old. Today, I'm going to discuss and review the new film by Steven Soderbergh, Black Bag. But before I do, just a couple of housekeeping notes. If you want to contact the show, you can email the show at bendyourearpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow the show on social media. The show is available on X, on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, and the handle for X and YouTube and Rumble is at Bend Your Ear Pod. I would encourage you to follow the show on X. I'm on there all the time, interacting with people, posting the video and audio reviews of the show. So if you can join there, that'd be great. The Facebook page is Let Me Bend Your Ear Podcast, and the YouTube channel, again, is at Bend Your Ear Pod. If you subscribe on YouTube, you'll get notifications when new episodes of the video are available. And of course, if you listen to this podcast, you can get it wherever you get your podcast. Please click and subscribe there, and you'll receive notifications when new episodes are added to the feed. And I would encourage you, if you are a fan of the show, it would really help us out if you could rate and review. The more rates and reviews a show gets on a platform, the more visibility it gets for people searching for a new movie podcast. And if you are able to financially support the show, you'll see the QR code here on the left if you're watching the video, or you can go to the X page and click on the tip jar there. That helps defray the cost of running the show, the website, the streaming software, etc. So if you could do that, that would be greatly appreciated. All right. Going to discuss Black Bag, directed by Steven Soderbergh. So before I get into that, I've been on I think a lot of people, especially online, have been on a rant about the availability of dramas that are mid-budgeted to go into the marketplace to be available for people to watch. I grew up in the 80s and 90s watching movies, and that was a common thing, the thriller or a mystery or a drama that was catered to adult audiences that would not be a super high budgeted film like a comic book movie or things like that. If you listen to this podcast for any length of time, you know that I've kind of railed against that and kind of been, sorry that there's not more of those. So Black Bag is an example of something that I'm talking about. So put my money where my mouth is. If you've listened to this podcast, of course, before, I don't have the ability to go to the movies all the time. I have 2 small children, and running them around to their various things makes it hard for me to go to the theater. I love going to the theater. So when I get to do it, I'm very appreciative of it. And for this movie, though, I put my money where my mouth is. I say I want to see these movies. So when these movies are released, I went and saw this one in the theater, which I'm glad I did. That's always the best way to watch a movie. I'll always encourage that for people. I understand people watch them on their phones, on their tablets, on their TVs at home. I'm not trying to tell you not to do it, but I'm always going to be an advocate of the theater experience as the best way to watch a movie. That's just the way I've always seen it, and that's the way I always will see it. But anyway, I was glad I was able to do that. Now, the reviews were coming in before I saw the movie, and usually I don't like to read reviews, and I didn't read reviews per se, but the blurb reviews were giving this movie very, very positive reviews, which, of course, made me more excited to go see it. Now, as far as Steven Soderbergh, obviously he's had a 30, probably almost closing on 40-year career, and I haven't seen a Soderbergh film in quite a few years. The last one I saw, and I forgot to look it up before I came on, but it's the one he shot on an iPhone about the woman that was having issues, possible mental issues. Is things real or are things not real? That's the last movie I saw by Soderbergh. I haven't seen a lot of Soderbergh in the last few years, and he cranks out movies all the time. One of the great things about him, obviously, he's still, I think, this far in his just career, like an experimental filmmaker. He makes different kinds of films, shoots them on different kinds of formats. So that's great, and that's something he's always been a champion of. Now, this particular film, Black Bag, like I said, got a lot of good reviews, so I was very excited to see it. So when I went to the theater to watch it, very excited to do so. Now, the film, directed by Soderbergh, of course, and written by David Koepp. And if you are familiar with his work, he is a pretty prolific screenwriter. He's written all kinds of genre films. He's directed a film called Stir of Echoes, which was like a supernatural thriller with Kevin Bacon. He's written Jurassic Park for Steven Spielberg. He's done dozens and dozens and dozens of films that he's written, and some that he's written and directed. So he's a very seasoned screenwriter. So when I saw he had wrote the screenplay, I was excited as well because he's a very good screenwriter. He's made some very good movies, either directed by him or directed by other people. So let's get into the plot of Black Bag. So Black Bag stars Kate Blanchett and Michael Fassbender, two fantastic actors. Kate Blanchett specifically, I'm a huge fan of her. She's always great in whatever she's in. So they play a couple, husband and wife, that are in British intelligence. So they don't say MI6. They don't really specify. I don't remember them specifying, but they're both intelligence agents. So at the beginning of the film, the husband is approached and he is told that they are searching for a possible traitor that is giving away information on a piece of software that could obviously do a lot of damage. So they come to him first. George Woodhouse is the husband. So, which is fine, which is a standard mission for him to try to accomplish. And the catch, though, here is that one of the people on the list, there's 5 suspects on the list. One of the people on the list is his wife, Catherine, who I said is also an intelligence agent. So he has to go about the mission of figuring out who the traitor is and do it in a quick amount of time. So the person assigning this to George tells him, how much time do you need? He goes, I can do it in 2 weeks. He goes, we don't have that kind of time. We need to find out who it is and get this sussed out because we need to make sure that software does not go into the wrong hands. So he says he will do it in a week. So that sets the plot in motion. So he has got to figure out who it is, including spying on his wife, without her, of course, finding out, and of course, without anyone in the group that he is in finding out. So when I saw the trailer for this movie and I was starting to watch the film, this was giving me Mr. and Mrs. Smith vibes. So if you recall that film, I think that was 2005 film with Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. I think it was directed by Doug Liman. So I was getting vibes of that kind of movie. 2 spies, well, they were assassins, not spies, but they were assassins. And the conflict of them being married and them doing the same job. This film kind of had that feeling. This Black Bag definitely does not go down that same road. And the title Black Bag is basically in the plot of the movie. Black Bag is basically a catch-all term for a secret assignment. So, and specifically when it comes to the marriage of George and Catherine, when they are going on a trip or going somewhere without the other one, and the other spouse says, "Hey, where you going?" They say Black Bag, and that's anybody. That just basically means it's a secret assignment. Can't tell you where I'm going. I can tell you when I'm leaving. I can tell you when I'm coming back. Can't tell you where I'm going. So that's just the catch-all word for secret. Cannot tell you. So that term is frequently thrown out through the film. And one of the themes of the movie, which was interesting and that I did like, is that the group of people. So there's 4 suspects, 5 including his wife, that work in the same unit that do this kind of work. So obviously they're in the business of lying to people they're working with, to subjects they're trying to surveil. It's deception and secrecy and lying. Now, what we find out in the first part of the movie is as George is conducting his investigation, he's trying to figure out who would be the traitor. And of course, they set it up. They have a dinner early in the film where all the suspects are interacting with each other. He's asking questions to try to get information about themselves, their lives, what they're doing. And one of the things I like, one of the interactions in the dinner was where one of the suspects there, she is basically complaining. And one of the suspects is actually the psychiatrist for the group. So, if somebody has an issue and the uppers believe that they need to get psychiatric or psychological help or counseling, that's her job there as well. But obviously she has access to secrets because she has to talk to these people. But she complains in an outburst in that scene regarding how the fact is no one can trust anybody. You can't have relationships outside the group, so with normal people, because you have to keep your whole life secret. And she's kind of envious of George and Catherine because they basically are married, work the same job. And basically she says you can't even have a romance or any kind of relationship, personal relationship, other than with someone else in the group, in the intelligence arena, because you can't have a normal relationship. And she bristles at that situation. So there's a theme there. There's a theme of trust between Catherine and George. They present their marriage as basically, and they say it in the film, as a perfect marriage. They love each other very much. They're still very romantic with each other, but within this realm, they've able to navigate it and work that out. So of course, some of the tension there is George's wife actually keeping something from him when they're pretty much open within the constraints of their job. So obviously they're not open about everything that they do because some of the things they do are secretive, even from each other. But they have the other things with each other. They love each other. They care for each other, and that supersedes the secrecy that's involved and that's necessary for doing this job. So that's great too. The interaction between them, like I said, Fassbender and Kate Blanchett is always fantastic. And then you have Pierce Brosnan, who's in the film as well. He's not in it a lot. He's more in it in the second half of the film, but he is their supervisor. And of course, he's trying to find out what is going on and trying to avoid some kind of catastrophe if this software is unleashed to be used for nefarious purposes. So again, that's what I liked about it. I like the dynamic between the married couple. I like the dynamic within the intelligence team. The acting is very good all the way around. And kind of that part of it was interesting. So that's what I really liked about it. And I'm going to get back to what I liked about it after I discuss what I didn't like, because it'll kind of tie in. You'll see in a minute. So my issue with this movie is, here's the thing. A lot of the positive reviews of the film that I had seen before I watched it was that I think the film clocks in at like 94 minutes. So it's short, which is great, it gets going, it's not a 2 hour movie. It's not a 2.5 hour movie. Again, I have nothing against that, but we've lost the art of telling stories in a streamlined and efficient way and still be super entertaining. And my issue with Black Bag is, even though the movie running time is not long, and this is what goes to show you, the running time is less important than how the story unfolds and how the story is told. So, a 2.5 hour movie or a 3 hour movie can be great and can feel shorter because of the pacing of the film, because of how the story is told. So again, it's not so much the running time as a be all end all, but it's just more important the storytelling. So with Black Bag, my issue with it was, unfortunately for me, the first half of the movie, the first 45 minutes went too slow for me. The second 45 minutes, really, really good. So once George kind of gets an idea of what's going on and implements a plan to catch the person or persons that are guilty, then it's great. Then it's really good. The second half of the film is much better than the first. My issue was it took too long for me to get to that point, for me as a viewer. It wasn't that the movie was boring. It was just that it could have been paced better at the beginning. Like I said, the second half of the movie going to the end, very, very good. And that's what's really where my recommendation, when I get to that in a minute, will come from. But again, that was my main issue with the film, was the pacing in the first half I thought could have been better. Now, again, back to what I like, along with the acting and along with the kind of the storyline of trust and the people basically being in a bubble, and the only people that they can really interact with is each other and not in the outside world, was great. And I like that. And like I said, the second half of the film, when George sets his plan in motion to capture the guilty parties, it's really good. So that part of it is what I really, really liked. The music is very good in the film. I didn't see who the composer was. I like the music a lot. And obviously with Soderbergh, he's a seasoned director. Visually, the film is great. It seems like it goes around the world and does a lot of good stuff visually. And like I said, I really like the music a lot. And again, the second half is fantastic. So again, I was surprised that with a 93, 94-minute film that I was having that issue. But again, as I was watching it and then as I got out of the movie, it didn't really underscored, my general opinion, like I said, about movie length. And people get caught up in it too long, too short, or most people complain about too long. But this movie is a really good example of a shorter movie that could still feel longer than it is. So it works both ways. So you can be watching a 3-hour film and you can feel it. And it's like, oh man, this movie is long. Or you can watch a shorter movie, and if the pacing is not to your liking, then it's going to feel longer than it actually is, even if it's a shorter movie with the literal running time. So that was something for me that was an issue for me. My final view of this film is probably going to come in below what the critics are. I know the critics really, really liked it a lot. And I think part of it is, and I don't even blame the reviewers as well. Fans of Soderbergh, of course, And I think the legitimate question or legitimate issue that I brought up earlier of films marketed for adults to be available in theaters, not on Netflix, not on Apple Plus, not on any streaming platform. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Not that there's anything wrong with someone making a deal to release a film on those streaming platforms uh, for whatever reason, financial concerns. They get an open pocketbook to make those movies. I have zero issue with it. This is more of a not being against streaming, but more for the marketplace allowing those films to be placed in those screens. So again, as I brought up, the most recent example for me is, of course, and I've said it and I'll say it again, is Juror Number Two, which you can look at my review a couple of episodes back, the Clint Eastwood film that was originally going to go straight to Max. They did end up rolling out a small limited release in theater, so I was lucky enough that it came to my city and I was able to look at and watch it in the theater, which I'm glad I did. But that was not the original plan. So that's the perfect movie, that type of film, a movie that's specifically marketed for adults, whether, like I said, a legal thriller, a spy thriller like this movie is, Black Bag. So it's important for those. And I was happy, even though my overall view of Black Bag was I was somewhat disappointed in it. I'm happy to support the film. I was happy to go pay my money to go see it. And I'm going to try to do that with my limited time to go to the theater. I'm going to try to at least support those movies. Original films. It doesn't have to be, like I said, even whether I saw Long Legs in the theaters, which is a horror film, which I watched last year, went to the theater to see that. I was happy to do that. So, I'm going to try to do my part to support those movies. And if you're a big proponent of the movie theater experience, I would ask that you do the same. I know movies are expensive. I know concessions are expensive. I don't dispute that. I don't dismiss that at all. But even if you go to one or two a year, just at least when you can, if you see those different types of movies and again, with comic book movies, I'm a fan of them as well. I'm actually on the next episode, I'm going to be reviewing Captain America. So I'll get into that in the next episode. But I love Marvel movies. I love any movie that's done well, comic book or not. And those are going to be, I'll support those as well. But if you can, and you are a fan of movies that are not comic book films, that are more, like I said, geared for adults, seek those movies out and pay your money and go see them, because that's the only way, as an audience or as a customer, we have any power to hopefully get more of those type of films into the theaters. Because look, every theater that you go to, if it's modern, doesn't even have to be old, if it's relatively new, you've got 10 to 15 screens in these places. So there's absolutely no reason why we can't have Captain America, Black Bag, small films, big. Like, there's no reason why we can't have all those types of films, in the theaters at the same time, so people can see what they want to see or what their preference may be. So, just my little public service announcement there. Try to do that when you can. And like I said, I understand it's hard for me even to go to the movies. I would go to the movies every weekend if I could. I just can't. So I understand, believe me. But when you can, if you have the opportunity and you are interested in those type of films, really seek those movies out. All right, off the soapbox. So I am going to give Black Bag, starring Kate Blanchett and Michael Fassbender. I'm sure I'm saying it's Fassbender. Keep butchering his name. I'm going to give it 3.5 stars out of 5. So on that scale, for me, I can recommend the movie if you are a Fassbender fan, Kate Blanchett, and Steven Soderbergh. I can definitely recommend you check it out. 3.5. This is not a movie I probably would see again, which is why I'm giving it 3.5 out of 5. Normally, I would give it a higher review if I was able to recommend it or something. My first criteria for a great movie for me, or for a 4 or 5 star review, is if I know I'm going to watch it again. So right after I get out of a movie, I know right away that I can either watch a movie over and over again, or I wouldn't watch it again. Now, it doesn't mean I think the movie's bad. It just means it's not one that I think I would watch over and over again. And for me, Black Bag is not one of those movies I would watch again. I enjoyed it. Like I said, I gave you my issues with the movie, but overall I enjoyed it. And like I said, if you're a fan, I would recommend you check it out. Again, that's 3.5 stars out of 5 for Black Bag, directed by Steven Soderbergh. So again, if you have any comments about the show, 2 things I'd ask you to do. 1, please rate and review wherever you watch the show or listen to the show. Again, that's super important to raise the visibility of the show. If you've listened to the podcast over the last couple of months, I've told you that I want to increase the visibility of this podcast. That is a distinct goal of mine this year. I've been done this podcast since 2018. It's been on for a while. I've really never made an aggressive push to grow the show, but I really want to do that. I want to increase the viewership. I want to increase the listenership. So if you can rate, if you are a fan of this show, if you could please rate and review wherever you watch it or wherever you listen to it, that would be greatly appreciated. You can go to the website. The website is Bend Your Ear, or excuse me, I always get my own website wrong, which is ridiculous. It's letmebendyour.com is the podcast. Letmebendyour.com is the website. You can get all the episodes there. Of course, you can get the audio podcast wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, wherever you get it, your podcast, Podbean, it's all available there. So you can subscribe there. You'll get notification of new episodes. You can email the show again, bendyourEarPodcast@gmail.com. And please follow me on the socials. Again, Instagram and X is at BendYourEarPod. The video episodes are also available on X as well. So you can follow there. And the best place to interact with me is on X. I will respond. And if you have suggestions for movies, feedback on the show, again, like I said, my goal for this year and going forward is to significantly increase the viewership and listenership of the show. I want to grow this show. I enjoy doing it. I love doing it. So I want more people to join me on this journey as I do my movie reviews. So again, I really appreciate the people that have downloaded and listened to the podcast. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Every single one of you. So thank you. And again, if you have the ability to support the show, you got the QR code here if you're watching on the left, or you can go to the X page and click on the tip jar and help support the show if you're able to do that. As the show grows, at some point, I started a Patreon a long time ago. I've never really activated it. But if I can get the show growing to the point where that will become feasible for another way to support the show by providing either merch at some point or specific episodes or additional episodes. So whatever you think would be something that would be worthwhile to you, let me know. And I'll definitely put that into consideration for something down the road to maybe open up the Patreon and do something there. So again, thank you for listening. Again, this is the Let Me Bend Your Ear podcast. I really appreciate all the support. And again, Black Bag, directed by Steven Soderbergh. I'm giving 3.5 stars out of 5. Thank you for watching and listening. I'll see you very soon.